Thanks for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. I'm Steven Jodarand.
And I'm Jake Watrova.
And on today's episode, we attempt to talk about sports.
Listeners, you can follow the show on Twitter at UncSamSoccerPod. We always enjoy your feedback and comments, so continue to send them in. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Now, let's get to today's show.
Well, we're back. Jake, how much has changed since we last recorded? You think the listeners would care if we put the same episode forward and just call it a new episode?
I mean, there have been some things that have changed as it relates to European soccer, but the updates right now are few and far between.
Yeah. Well, listeners,
I feel
welcome.
bad. I feel bad for content creators right now. I really feel bad for the people whose lives depend on creating soccer content, because I don't know what you talked about right now.
I mean, we're already past on the rate this shin guard. I mean, I'm surprised no one's done like tattoos. Although I have to say, some of the content that they push, oh my God, it's unbearable. Anyway, regarding the sporting world, right? Yet the NFL draft, I'd give it on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being a phenomenal product, I'd give it about a 6.5, 7. I thought it was digestible. I thought you were able to consume some of that and enjoy it, and there were other parts where you just couldn't care for.
I mean, look, it was a virtual draft. There was really no studio show, or the analysts were put together by satellite, so they had all these awkward delays. Anytime Trey Wingo would ask Kuiper or Kurt Warner or Louis Riddick, whoever else was on that panel, a question. I mean, I thought it was better than a 7. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I watched more drafts than I could.
Better than the horse that they were doing the other week. God, that was atrocious. In other news, I guess the big talking point, right, is the Michael Jordan documentary, and I've been loving it. I think it's a good 2 hours every Sunday where you're watching something and it's new, you're learning, and for a brief moment, I kind of do get sucked away from the COVID-19 pandemic. I have to say it. I'm fully admitting, when I watch the Jordan documentary, it's the only time where I can genuinely feel like I'm escaping this terrible crisis.
I've watched the first 2 episodes. I haven't watched the episodes 3 and 4 yet. I'm not as big into it as everybody else is. I don't know why. I don't lose my mind when I see it.
Well, there's that. Speaking of the NBA, and listeners, I want to question of the day. Which sport do you think comes back and plays first? And we're going to talk about in the broad context, right? You have soccer, generally speaking, right? You could split it MLS or Europe if you really wanted to, but is it soccer? Is it going to be basketball? Is it going to be hockey? Is it going to be football? Is it going to be baseball? What sport is coming back first? That's the question of the day. And Jake, we'll answer that towards the end of the show. But we're going to begin with the NBA, because the NBA has had this plan to get players practicing, right? Not too long ago, Jason Tatum, Celtics, I don't know what position he plays actually, but Celtics young superstar.
I believe he's a forward.
Forward? I was going to say, is he a small forward? Would you consider? I'm not.
Basketball's positionless now, so he plays. Okay. He probably plays a little bit of the 3, a little bit of the 4, maybe sometimes a small ball 5.
Small ball 5. I think he's a little too small for that. But besides the point, he was commenting. He was in an interview with I don't know who, but he basically said, "I haven't shot a basket in God knows how many weeks because he has no access to team facilities. Obviously, Massachusetts or wherever he is in the country is on a lockdown, just like a number of places around the world. So it's not like any other athlete, but he also doesn't have a hoop in his backyard or in his garage where he can shoot." And that was a little bit alarming if you're a Boston Celtics fan like myself. So the NBA recently said, like, okay, well, you know what? We're going to find a way to get players the opportunity to practice, to get into a rhythm of working out in a proper gym. Now I'm reading from April 27, 2020 press release from the NBA. The NBA informed its teams today that numerous states and local governments have announced modifications of stay-at-home orders and other restrictions on non-essential business activity beginning this week. The league is planning to modify its guidance regarding the use of team practice facilities and player training. Jake, this is positive, right? You have to sit there and go, "Oh my God, this is a step in the right direction. Sports is coming back."
Yeah, I think this is positive, right? We're okay. Let's get players back in the gyms now. Yeah, this is a positive first step.
The league, now I'm reading again from this press release, advised teams that it's targeting no earlier than Friday, May 8th as the commencement date for the new rules, and it may push this timing back if developments warrant. Cool, great. All right, we have a plan. We have something to set to sink our teeth into talking about sports. The NBA has a plan to come back. Jake, let me ask you, is it fair that if you're an Atlanta Hawk, you can practice, but if you're a New York Knick, you can't?
That is unfair.
Okay.
I fully believe that to be unfair.
All right. So that's problem number one. Now, here's the other issue I have. It's the restrictions that apply, because it tells you, I'll tell you what the concluding point is once I get through these restrictions. Okay, get ready for this, Jake. No more than 4 players can be permitted at a facility at one time. No head or assistant coaches could participate. Group activity remains prohibited, including practices or scrimmages. Players remain prohibited from using non-team facilities such as public health clubs, fitness center, or gyms. Moreover, Shams, our guy Shams at The Athletic, he tweets out saying that you have to have a physical distance of at least 12 feet. Staffers working with players must wear gloves. Players must wear face masks at all time, except when in physical activity. At this point, it seems to be a greater problem to even shoot a damn basket than it is just to sit on your couch and, say, screw it.
Yeah, I saw that too, where the staff has to wear the gloves, the players got to wear the masks. I mean, if that's the conditions that these players can come back to, why even come back?
Is this even progress?
What's the point?
But is this even progress? Is this really, I know these sports leagues are terrified of the PR nightmare if you're going to give these millionaires, these athletes, preferential treatment when it comes to testing, face masks, travel. They're terrified, whether that's the NFL, the NBA, MLS, you name it. The league is absolutely terrified. So the NBA tries to implement these restrictions. You look at these restrictions, and they're borderline to the point where they're useless in the sense of, why am I even showing up to go training?
What's confusing to me, Stephen, is I believe that it says what? The staffer must wear gloves when handling the ball, right?
Yeah, do the players?
Do the players? That's what I want to know. Do the player? What's to say
they're sweating?
that
They're touching the balls.
Yeah. What's to say they don't have it? What's to say? Why is it assumed that the staffer is the one that has coronavirus or could have coronavirus, and not the players?
Wait. Speaking of this, did we? You sent a text message. not too long ago on this Tuesday night about one Pablo Dybala, the Juventus forward. And this is from the UK Mirror. Dybala has tested positive for coronavirus for the 4th time in 6 weeks. I mean, this doesn't seem to be really much of a solution. Okay, these restrictions may be in all good intentions, and the NBA wants to protect everybody just as much as the next person. The problem is the rules are so thick, and it becomes so head scratching in some of these facilities that why even open them up if you're going to only allow a player for 90 minutes in and out? You might as well just send freaking hoops to every player and tell them, look, here's what you got to do. Or better yet, you tell them, here's an apartment in city X. You're going to be stuck there for the next 3 months, but you got a full court. It's yours. Don't leave don't leave your house. And you can train outside if you're worried about the cold weather, whether that's in Boston, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Chicago. Go somewhere south.
And Steven, what's eye-opening to me about some of these things that the NBA is requiring is how do leagues like Major League Baseball, MLS, the NHL, which there's been word that the NHL has told its players, be prepared to report to your teams on May 15th. I've seen a couple reports of that on Twitter. How, if these are the stipulations that the NBA is putting in place, how do leagues like MLS, Major League Baseball, how do they come back if everyone's got to wear a mask?
Right.
I mean, can you imagine watching a baseball game and everyone's wearing a face mask? You have the hitter wearing a face mask. You have a shortstop, pitcher. Everyone's wearing a face mask. I just don't understand how these leagues can come back. I know Major League Baseball has told people we're going to come back in 2020, but I don't know. I don't see how we get to the point where sports resemble somewhat of a, look like they did prior to March 12th when everything was halted.
Yeah. And these, like, again, the NBA has good intentions of wanting to get players the opportunity to practice, to literally, this is their livelihoods, right? The NBA players, just like almost every athlete around the world, are in some sense are unemployed, right? It's funny to say that, but the LeBron James is technically unemployed because why? He can't show up and work. He's stuck at his house. Yeah, it's crazy to think LeBron James is a borderline billionaire right here as quote-unquote unemployed. But still, the point here is that these restrictions that the NBA has implemented, or these rules, or whatever you want to call it, regulations, they're a lot. And it just is, it's, as much as you want to say the NBA is taking a step in the right direction, you look at this and say, what difference is it to allow these players to show up for 90 minutes, having the entire place swept clean for the next player to show up, rather than saying, you know what, screw it, see you in June, or in July, or in August, whenever that may be.
Or in December.
Yeah, seriously.
No, you're right. You're right. And
what's the difference?
That to me is this? No, and that to me is where I start to wonder if, look, college football is not coming back. We're not having college football.
We're not having college sports, right? You could forget about.
No, I think college football at best. I think, yeah, there's gonna be no fall college at best. If you're a college football fan, you're probably gonna get it around January or February at the earliest. I don't think there will be college basketball. Maybe there will be. Maybe they start the season in January and they push on through until
March Madness is. I mean, it wasn't the
maybe it'll be April and June Madness. I don't know.
But seriously, we basically just skipped March Madness. The idea was like, oh, we'll just play it over summer, right? Some extended time. But there's no chance that they do March Madness in the fall, unless they say, well,
they're not. No. How do you do it with the NBA draft coming?
Yeah. No. I mean. These are all excellent questions, and the NBA in the attempt to take a step forward into the right direction to allow sports to come back only raises more questions, because to get players to train for 90 minutes is such a complicated ordeal. How the hell are we ever going to get 5-on-5 in the NBA with coaching staff, 5-on-5 on the court with a team bench? I mean, are we going to have benches spread out where they're 12 feet apart from each other? And then what are you going to do with the NHL? What are you going to do in soccer? 11 on 11 on the field with squads up to 25 people. The NFL with a squad or with training camp, right, with 90 members plus all the coaches. I mean, it's an insane amount. And on top of what's going on with the NBA and these regulations, with the questions that are surrounding that and their attempt to open up, Jake, just by the way, from CBSSports.com, Sam Quinn, the Atlanta Hawks, who are in Georgia, Georgia has been pretty progressive in the attempt to open up. They basically saying, yeah, we're not doing this just yet. Put everything on pause. Because the original plan was to open up May 1st, I believe. So you have that. Let's go to Europe, because in Europe things are flying off the shelves regarding news.
Yeah, Steve, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. There are a lot of different updates coming out of leagues in Europe. Let's start in the Netherlands, I suppose. The Eredivisie has canceled their season. They did so on April 24th. However, according to the Daily Mail, the Eredivisie may reverse this decision. Now, Steven, I know we're trying to I know we want to kind of fly through these a little bit just to, do little talking points or hear quick updates. I saw this at first and thought, oh bleep, this is the first domino to fall for these leagues just up and cancel their seasons. But the more I thought about it, I actually was able to draw a parallel to soccer here in America. And I thought, well, if Serie A hasn't announced their canceling their season, and if the Bundesliga hasn't announced they're canceling their season, and if the Premier League hasn't announced they're canceling their season, why is the Eredivisie? And I have come to the conclusion that the Eredivisie does not make as much money off their TV deals as those three mentioned leagues. And what does that sound like? What local league does that sound like?
Yeah, no, you're right. We talked about it on the last episode, where it's estimated somewhere in the 40% range. NFL MLS teams pull revenue from asses and seats, ticket sales. So that could very well.
Like
yeah, I mean,
that could be it.
It could be it, but unlike here in America, unlike I guess with Major League Soccer in Holland, you have promotion relegation, and your teams such as Camber, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who are 11 points clear in the second tier, seemingly destined for a promotion in Holland. Well, guess what? That's completely wiped out. See you next season, and you're still playing second division in the second tier. So this will be fascinating. And one thing I want to say is I'm a little surprised that the Dutch league canceled so quickly. However, that thought is a little bit diminished based on what happened in France today, April 28th.
Yeah, French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong, because you speak French in this podcast and I don't. French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe announced today, April 28th, that no sporting events will take place in his country until at least September, which means the 2019-2020 Ligue 1 and is it 2? Is that how you say 2 in French? Seasons are canceled.
Ligue 1 and Ligue 2.
Ligue 1 and Ligue 2. Their seasons are canceled. They're done. Thanks for the French lesson there, Stephen. This is a big domino.
Yeah, this is a big domino because it's what the fifth biggest league in Europe, you would call it, right? People do watch. PSG, Bordeaux, Lyon, Marseille. These are decent sized clubs. If an American were there, you would sit there and say, well, Timothy Way was at PSG. Now he's was at Lille. So if more Americans were at these clubs, you would say these are decent sized clubs. This is a decent league. No, it's not the Premier League. It's not the La Liga, but still, point being, it's one of the big five. The fact that they're canceling their seasons as of April 28th, where they have the summer to hypothetically put on a whole season, it does, like you said, it's a domino. So the question is now, what does Spain do? What does the Premier League do? Or what does the British Federation, the British FA do? What does the Spanish Federation, the Italian Federation, or are leagues going to do this all individually? And with the Dutch league canceling and the French league canceling, what about the Swiss league, the Austrian league, the Greek league, the Croatian league, the smaller leagues across Europe? Are they too now going to follow suit and say we're canceling? Because
what does this mean for the Champions League, Stephen? How do you?
Oh, there's no chance the Champions League gets played now. That's actually an excellent point because PSG are technically through.
Right. So how does the Champions League carry on if PSG can't play? What happens?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they try to if they cancel the Champions League altogether and say right now what's important is to finish domestic league. But if you're a team like Atalanta from Serie A, who've had an up and down campaign this season, but are on to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, you would sit saying that's BS. Where's my opportunity? We've fought hard to get to this position. Where's the sporting merit in that? Where's the sporting fairness, the opportunity to allow these teams to fight it out on the pitch? This is a big domino. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Our team's going to sue, maybe not, but this is coming from the French government, and this is a little bit different than if a commissioner, Adam Silver, said, "Hey, we're canceling, the league."
No, you're right. This is a massive domino to fall, and I'm interested to see how this decision that the French government has taken impacts what is done in Germany, which is the next league I want to talk about here. The Bundesliga, they want to return May 9th, which if you check your calendars, we're recording this on April 28th. May 9th is about a week and a half from now. That's about 10 or 11 days. However, the league is now facing opposition by some in the German government about a potential restart of the Bundesliga.
Yeah, do you want me to quickly mention an example? So Leipzig-based professor Uwe G. Leipert told the Mitteldeutsche Zeitung newspaper that the league's proposed hygiene measures, games without fans, continuous testing, permanent monitoring of players, are not sufficient to guarantee the safety of those involved. We don't know about the long-term effects of the illness with COVID-19, Leipert said, referring to the death of a 31-year-old without underlying health problems from the disease. It's possible to get very sick or die from the virus at a young age. So, of course, there's going to be pushback regardless of whatever policy or whatever solution you put forth. There's always going to be pushback, which is fine, which is totally fair and warranted, but decisions have to be made, and the German Bundesliga has been pretty progressive, right? They've been practicing, they've been training, so out of all the leagues, you would expect the Bundesliga to get things kicked off first, I guess across the sporting landscape in, I guess, what you would say Europe and America.
But Stephen, the Bundesliga clubs, they've been training for at least like the last 16 or 17 days here since April 11th or so.
Some sort of training, not a full-on team training where everyone's touching each other. Not in any mean or any strange sense, but you can't be physical with anybody.
No, you can't. That'll be interesting to see if they are able to get up and running here in the next 10 or 11 days in Germany. Now, one league I'm surprised that has not completely canceled their season, given that they were at the they were the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic, is Serie A in Italy. They are aiming at a return sometime between May 27th and June 2nd. Teams will be allowed to have individual training sessions on May 4th, and then team training sessions on May 18th.
That team training, I think, is suspect.
I do too. I mean, given the fact that we just said earlier in the show, Paulo Dybala of Juventus has had what?
Four times in 6 weeks. Like,
I mean,
that dude, I don't know what that dude is doing or who he's being in contact or getting in contact with, but my God, 4 times in 6 weeks? How is that even possible?
It's hard for me to envision that any. I mean, look, June 2nd. That's 5-6 weeks out from when we're recording this right now. I mean, maybe they can get things back up and running there, restart behind closed doors. But I just
Jake,
I don't know. I don't see it.
If you're a Juventus team, a teammate of Dybala, so you say you're Cristiano Ronaldo, you got kids at home, and you know the news that he's got it 4 times in 6 weeks. Do you want to deal with him? Do you want to be near him?
Not until he gets tested and it comes back negative.
Yeah, but what if he comes back 3 days later and gets test positive again?
I don't know. Maybe he's. I mean, I don't think he's had it recovered and then got it again. I think he's just had it for 6 weeks straight.
Maybe.
Until he tests negative,
that's fair. I don't know. I don't know. But 4 times in 6 weeks, whatever that may be. But it is shocking that Syria comes back. And we'll see, again, the domino of France shutting down, the government shutting down Ligue 1, Ligue 2. How does that affect Syria? And obviously, as you mentioned, Italy being the epicenter. There's got to be a new dialogue happening. And let's get to the biggest. Actually, tell us what's happening in Spain.
Well, Stephen, according to John Skilbeck from Goal.com, he reports on La Liga as clubs and league officials could be targeting a return to action on June 6th or June 13th. However, there is some reluctance in Spain to rush to any decision on one of those two potential start dates.
Not surprising. Again, how is France going to impact these decisions going forward?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think every league in Europe will cancel except for the final league, which we haven't talked about here, the Premier League. They have a goal of returning on June 6th. For some reason, I think the Premier League is going to finish their season, but I have a hard time seeing Serie A and La Liga finishing theirs.
Premier League based on solely the TV rights money that they get.
Massive TV rights money. If you want to take politics into it, I think they're run similar to our country in some ways.
Yep.
I think they're. Yep. I think they're.
Trump, yeah. I mean, that's an excellent point, Jake. Excellent point. Trump has been he's been very vocal of wanting to get sports back. Now, you can say that's obviously political in some sense, but you could also say that, Trump, like Boris Johnson, understands the meaning of sports to the American culture, whether that's the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, whatever league it is. But sports is a huge chunk and a very big part of American culture. Boris Johnson knows that the Premier League, or football, soccer for that matter, is a big part of British culture, and if you can bring it back, you signify a return, if you will, to normal life, some sort of normalcy.
Yeah, and that's why I think the Premier League will return, but I have a hard time seeing especially Serie A and La Liga, as Spain and Italy were hit pretty hard. Maybe Germany comes back. Maybe they don't. I mean, either way, it wouldn't surprise me. I tend to think that they're not going to come back on May 9th, so we'll have to wait and see.
We'll see
how that all unfolds.
We'll see, and MLS is still talking to a source in the MLS circles, they're looking at some sort of return in June, July. So they're still quite far off. And question of the day, Jake, and this is to wrap up. Which sport comes back and plays an official game that gets tallied, that gets put into the win and loss columns, where you sit there and say that meant something to either the championship or the regular season?
Major League Baseball. That's my answer.
I think it's going to be the NFL. I think we're not going to see any sports. I think the
well,
NFL
my friend, we're going to have a hard time pumping out content for the next
get ready
months.
for it, because quite frankly, I don't get how soccer in Europe comes together. I'm surprised by the Serie A decision that they're wanting to get players back, albeit fine if they think if the scientists, the public health researchers there, the doctors say it's safe. That's fine, but I'm surprised by that decision. And then on the other hand, Italy just has to look north. You have 2 leagues now canceling their season. One of them says there's a potential that they reverse course, but will other leagues follow? Will smaller leagues in Europe cancel? And is that going to carry over to what happens here in America? And Jake, wrap on this point here. And this is more of a political point, but I think it's important. What happens in Europe tends to follow here in the United States on a delay. We saw the coronavirus impact Italy significantly earlier than it did the USA. Okay? We're always, geographically, whatever it may be, we tend to be on a delay, I guess, right? If you want a tape delay of what happens in Europe. So, if Europe starts to shut down its sports league, I wouldn't be surprised if the American commissioners look at Europe and say, oh, maybe we have to follow suit. So that's how I'm going to end it. Listeners, at Jake Watroba, do you got anything else to add?
I just want sports back.
Okay, yeah.
I just want if golf comes back in June, I will be the biggest golf fan.
Oh yeah, I can't. If golf comes back, you can.
I will watch.
You'll be napping.
I will watch every dumb tournament, regardless if Tiger Woods is competing or not. I don't care.
Oh, Tiger! If Tiger could be, if Tiger competes and he does reasonably well and gets to a Sunday with his red shirt, it'd probably be
must-watch TV.
It's must-watch TV. It'll be the highest-rated golfing outing or Sunday golf programming in history. I guarantee you that. At Steven Jodder, at Uncle Soccer Pod, let us know. Question of the day: which sport, just in general sense, basketball, football, whatever, comes back and plays an official game that counts? Let us know. And hope you're all doing well. Until next time.